Hi Professor, today I'm going to tell you about my favorite movie. My favorite movie is The Blind Side. It's starring for Sandra Bullock and Ryan McGowan. The film starts showing us the principal character, that is um, Michael Owen. He is a guy that have a difficult life because he didn't know who is his father, and his mother had problems with the drugs. He lives in his uncle's couch, but his uncles didn't like that he lived with them because he eats a lot. So his uncle get a place in a private school, so he starts to study, but he didn't understand nothing about the classes, and the classmates think that he's strange because he didn't talk with anybody. So, when the pass of the time, his uncle throw out of his house, and he starts to sleep in the gym of the school. One day, after a presentation of the school, he knows Liane and her family, and she suggests that he can pass the night in his house. So Big Mike accepts. Um, uh, after this day, Liane the and her husband suggest him that he can pass Thanksgiving Day with them. And he said, for he was so strange because he never celebrate this holiday with his family. So for he was so strange, so new new for him. um with the time, Liane and her husband discovered that Big Mike is a excellent guy, and he's a good person, he's responsible, and he has a potential to being an American football player. So they decide to become in her legal tutor. Um, they bring some professor to help with Mike with the grades. The professor is Mr. Sue. She held them in maths, in science, in all the classes, and he starts to give to and he starts to get good grades. So all the family is happy for him. And in the school, gives a chance to Big Mac to stay in the American football team. So he starts, but didn't he didn't do this well because he didn't know how work in team. So Liane tells her that the team is like your family. You always going to support your family. So when Liane tells this to Big Mike, all change. He starts to be in a good football player, and the team starts to win some games, and the universities start to interested in Big Mike and go and talk with them and Liane and her husband. Um, Liane and her husband wants to Big Mike study in the University of Mississippi, but he didn't really like because he prefers other universities. But finally, he accepted to study in the University of Mississippi. But but when all was good, one of his childhood neighborhood um, start to feel jealous about a bit my new life, and said that he said to Big Mike that he wants to hurt his new family if he he didn't leave the house. So for protect his new family, Big Mike left the house, but Leanne Anne said that she never going to abandon him, and he that she always want to be for him. So Big Mike decides to came back to the house, and he finished the school. He graduated school. The family support them for go to the university that he wants. Um, a long time ago, he becomes in a professional football game and a professional football player. Um, Throughout the film, Pismai learns to love herself and to value herself, and to work in team, because this was so difficult because in his family never worked in group. And Lian An learns to be less perfectionist and to pay more attention to his children. For me, this is an amazing movie because it's a real movie. It's based in real events. It's so amazing. The actors are so good, and I learn a lot about the film, like value all the persons, like respects the person, like pursue your dreams, and to have big goals because the goals can be realized.